talks on the Bawku conflict is near conclusion as factions brace for a final decision. We will be live at the Menchia Palace for the latest regarding this matter. Later in the bulletin, Chief Justice to commence determination of prima facie case against electoral commissioners and the special prosecutor following a receipt of petitions to the president, or at least the petitions have been sent to the president, and he has forwarded it to the Chief Justice for determination. We have details of all of these stories and more for you coming up within the next 1 hour. And later, we'll tell you what's happening in the DVLA office, because the DVLA's digital number plates is in limbo, according to Vehicle Endorsement Association of Ghana, as they petition the Transport Ministry to force the DVLA to convene a stakeholder meeting to address possible unavailability of number plates for 2026. Let's settle for the details of our stories now.
92.7.
My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. We're starting from the Ashanti region, where some members of both the Kusog and Mamprusi gates have resolved to accept any outcome from the Otumfour-led Bawku conflict mediation. However, tension erupted in the dying minutes of the final day of mediation, prompting a swift intervention by police and military personnel. President John Mahama earlier this year tasked the Asantehene to lead efforts to resolve the age-old Bawku conflict. For years, the Bawku municipality has endured recurring violence and heightened tension with sporadic attacks, resulting in the loss of lives and the imposition of curfews aimed at containing the unrest. The situation has disrupted livelihoods, strained community relations, and drawn national concern over the urgent need for a lasting peace settlement. After more than 6 months of work, the committee is expected to deliver a ruling hoped to finally end the impasse. Let's now go to the Menchia Palace and speak to our Ashanti Regional Bureau Chief, our Northern Sector Bureau Chief, William Evans Inkum. He's joined us on the line for a quick chat. William, good evening to you. Thank you for your time this evening.
92.7. Good evening. Thanks for having me, Martin.
Right. First of all, what's happening as we speak? Do we know if the final outcome has been given or the meeting is still ongoing?
Okay, so no final outcome, as in an official communication to really tell whether there was a verdict at all, where it fell. There wasn't anything like that. In fact, we were also not given any indication that there was going to be anything like that. A source tells me the most important thing was letting the fielding parties understand each other and then understanding the need to allow peace to prevail. But any other thing which has to do with who is leading what and what have you is not something that has been communicated officially to the media. And there wasn't any indication that there's going to be any official communication to the media to that effect, only to understand, my source again, that the process continues, even though Menchia is done with the mediation process. Any official communication will be given to the Jubilee House, that is the president, and then if there's a need for the public to know anything as far as what actually transpired today is concerned, then that will be communicated in due course. So that is what we are getting now. But we also understand that maybe there's going to be an official statement, but it's not too clear whether that statement is also going to give us any indication as to what really transpired between Santehene and that of the fielding parties. Nonetheless, Martin, there were some skirmishes just at the peripheral areas of the Menchia Palace. You know, the supporters of both ethnic groups were not allowed entry into the Jubilee Hall where the all-important meeting was taking place. So they were just outside the walls of Menchia Palace. And we heard some crashes. In fact, we were within Menchia Palace, but we heard some crashes. So we rushed to the scene and were told that a member of one of the ethnic groups has been run over by a motorbike. We are unable to tell who was the suspect, and then the victim, because they were almost like together, so we were unable to tell who ran over who. But a member of one of the ethnic groups was run over by a motorbike, and that sparked tension between the two or members from the two ethnic groups, that is the Kusau and then that of the Mampru group.
And that's quite unfortunate, the latter part of the report you just gave us, William. But we also have observed serious security presence in and around the Menchia Palace. Why is that?
Well, Martin, during the mediation process, or in the course of the mediation process, there have been some incidents that, some people have or speculate to have had a link to the Bawku crisis. You remember the incident at Aswase, where some people were shot. To date, we still not have, police reports on as to what their investigations told them. But there has been some level of high alert in terms of security and then matters which has to do with Bawku issue. So today, some of us were not surprised to have seen a heightened police military presence in and around Menchia Palace. And of course, even security that were also escorting the two ethnic groups, leadership of the two ethnic groups. In terms of security, it was very high. The police would not talk to you only to say that they have provided enough numbers to maintain law and order. But Martin, with what happened at the dying moment or minute of today's mediation talk or mediation, I think it's justifiable to say that, probably some intel probably might have been picked. And for that matter, the reason behind heightened security deployment in and around Menchia Palace.
And we know that this has been ongoing for some months now. This current administration, in terms of the government, asked the Otumfour to ensure that he is able to at least bring all the factions together to find some resolution to this age-old conflict. But before today's meeting, where we are all expecting a final outcome, how has cooperation been? Have the key stakeholders and the parties agreed to the timelines and the meetings? Have they been regular? What can you tell us in terms of the background of all these meetings?
So we have been speaking, with some of the supporters of the two ethnic groups, and they tell me, without mentioning words, that they are ready to accept whatever outcome that the Otumfour-led mediation comes out with. They are ready to accept it. That was about hours or an hour before that unfortunate incident. So if you are to gauge their mood, you could tell that, maybe to some extent they are, or for the optics, they are ready to accept whatever outcome that the Otumfour-led mediation comes out with. And you can also tell from, even before that incident, the pusher, Martin, between the Mamprugu ethnic groups and then that of the Kusasi ethnic groups, it was just a thin line. It was just a narrow road between them. If you know Menchia well, they were that close. Okay, so but at a point in time, it was difficult to even identify them because they were almost together at the Menchia Palace until that unfortunate incident happened. So that alone presupposes that, per their words, they are ready to accept peace.
Right. Anyway, so from the sources that you've been engaging who are part of the mediation talks, do we have any timelines as to when exactly the final outcome will be given? Because, we were all told that hopefully today or by close of day, we would hear something concrete. Do we know when it should be expected?
From what they tell me, Menchia has concluded. Now, what is left is what they will not divulge as far as information is concerned. Right from day one, information has been very economical because of the sensitive nature of the matter before the Santehene. I mean, during the days of the Yendi talks, I mean, the same thing, we're seeing the same thing, but this time around, you will describe it as a notch higher than what we witnessed during the Yendi talk. So they will not go beyond the fact that Santehene has spoken to them to allow peace to prevail, but the actual issue or the substantive issue, which has to do with who is the leader, is something that has been very mute as far as today's engagement is concerned.
All right, William, thank you so much for your time, and keep an eye on this for us. We'll certainly be engaging you in the coming hours. William Evans Inkum is our Northern Sector Bureau Chief, helping us with updates of what the meeting has gone like or what has transpired over the last few hours. Earlier today, the factions involved in the Bawku conflict met with the Otumfour. Prior to today, the meetings have been happening over time, and today we were told that we are going to be having a finality, or at least some form of an understanding, a memorandum of understanding between all factions that the media or the nation would be updated on. But as we speak, we're told that there is some conclusion that has been arrived at by all factions, but I'm sure they are dotting all the I's and crossing the final T's before we all get to hear the final outcome of that meeting. And it's very important because if you look at the history of Bawku, it has been for several years a bone of contention and an albatross around the necks of almost every government since Rawlings' time, where they've had to contend with the fact that a section of the nation, which is precisely in and around Bawku, have had an age-old conflict, and almost every time it re-emerges, lives are lost, several properties are destroyed. So on the back of that, the government, this present administration, is hoping that the Otumfour will be able to lead negotiations so that the factions will come to some agreement and halt all hostilities, at least so that between now and for the next few years, a lot more collaboration and diplomacy will be used in dealing with whichever disagreements that may arise or that may have existed among the feuding factions. So at least we are keeping very close tabs on this, and it's a major national concern, it's a major national issue. So we hope that the finality will be brought to it, and when we do get that information, we'll definitely update you on it as well. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. It is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Subsequently, we'll see if we can get some security perspectives on it as well. And beyond that, what exactly are the key issues that can be used as the foundation for a long-lasting peace in Bawku? Those are some of the concerns we'll try and get answers to subsequently. Away from that, though, or while we wait to see if we can get some correspondence in terms of a security perspective on this, let's go to the office of the president, because a lot has been happening within the last 24 hours. President John Dramani Mahama has, in accordance with Article 146 of the Constitution, forwarded petitions for the removal of chairperson of the Electoral Commission and her two deputies to the Chief Justice Paul Bafo Boni for the determination of a prima facie against them. The Office of the President received a cumulative of 10 petitions seeking the removal of chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, and her two deputies, Dr. Eric Bosman Asari and Samuel Tete. According to 3FM sources, 7 of the petitions were filed by private citizens for the removal of the EC chair and her deputies. The remaining 3 are seeking the removal of Special Prosecutor Kisie Jabeng, alleging various misconducts by the heads of the two institutions. A private legal practitioner has joined us on the line. Counsel Martin Pebo is with us now. Counsel, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time on 3FM.
Yes, good evening. Evening.
I'm sure you have followed the latest news, which is that the Office of the President has acknowledged receipt of a number of petitions. 3 of them, we are told, are asking the president to consider the removal of Kissie Jabeng at the OSP. Are you aware of this? How does that, align with your earlier call that you believe he has not been up to task and that should be removed from office?
Yes, I'm aware of these 3. In actual fact, I had heard there were 15. So it's a bit strange that what we are getting officially is 3, because there was a panelist on Joy FM's News Power, the member of Parliament from Bushegu, Hassan Tampuli, who mentioned 2 weeks ago that his credible sources said there were 15. So when Apostle Abraham Lincoln Labi presented his, we counted it as the 16th one. So it's surprising that today we are hearing 3. Maybe as the stories develop, we'll see what caused the disparity. But even 3 is not a joke. So you see, the case have been building up all this. Last month and this month, that Kissie Jabeng has lost the plot. He's aided Oforiatta to go, to flee from Ghana. The most valuable suspect, a man who had 5 cases on his head, yet Kissie Jabeng could not blow the whistle to enable the Ghanaian people stop Oforiatta from traveling. So, yes, these petitions, they are good. And I'm also reviewing mine. I'll go and add mine latest on Wednesday.
Oh, so you mean we should expect that the Leonard Martin people would also be presenting a petition asking for the president to consider removal of Kissie Jabeng?
Yes, absolutely. It's something I mentioned about a month ago. And so, I keep reviewing it. People have been very helpful, right? People are reading and giving suggestions and comments, so I don't have to rush it. There's a groundswell of support for it. Oh, groundswell. Oh, Kissie is lost the plot. When we go into the hearing, etc., you will see. This one will be more explosive. This one, look, you have no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, no, Kissie will not survive this, my petition. He will not survive. That's if only the first 3 don't knock him out of the office.
Okay, we keep fingers crossed to see how it all plays out. But there is this level of certainty that so far as the president has been presented with these petitions, it is clear indication that whoever the petition is against would be hounded out of or will be taken out of office. Is that a perception you also get, or at least you get the sense that the system still allows for some investigation to be done to ensure or establish a prima facie before the decision is finally taken?
Oh, the system allows for proper investigation. It's the facts of the case. When the case is bad, it's bad. There's not much that any lawyer can do. Look, let's use Justice Tokonu's own, for instance. If you read Daniel Ofori's petition, 21 charges or so, as an experienced lawyer, you would know by the time you finish reading it that, look, at least one would stick. And that one is sufficient to send the person out of office. 21. So reading it, that day when it leaked, and I read it, by the time I finished reading Ofori's own, I knew that, no, this one, even if one stuck, should be out of office. So if you check, when I was interviewed, the first interview when this Chief Justice Tokonu's own leaked, they asked me, what would I advise? I said, no, she should resign. Because I knew that she couldn't have won all, throughout the whole case, 21. No, Ofori is a serious man. He had serious lawyers behind him, Tabiosore, Chachichikata, etc. So it was impossible to say that all the charges will be thrown out, right? So in this particular case, like Kissie Jabeng's own, I don't know what are in those petitions, but from the ones I have seen, we have more than enough ammunition to get Kissie out. Look, even on Saturday, there was this letter I read from NIB, which contradicts Kissie Jabeng's claim that he went to NIB to seek help to arrest Oforiatta and didn't get that help. And NID said no, he never sought any help from them. So that false statement alone constitutes misbehavior. It's stated misbehavior, where the head of the anti-corruption agency is want to lying. Oh, no, that alone is sufficient. Then you have the matter of he not preventing Oforiatta from traveling. He couldn't even inform the Ghanaian people. He couldn't blow the whistle, etc. Right? Yeah. So I don't think that is just as if it's a foregone conclusion that they will just be removed anyhow. No, it's because there are proper grounds for the removal. Okay. When I come to the corruption grounds, you would see the corruption that he partook in. Okay. You see from what I'm about to file. So, look, it's not as if they're just about to be removed just for removal's sake. No, it's because there are serious grounds. Okay. The same thing for the EC chair and the deputies. Right. Yes, the same thing for Jean Mensah and the deputies. And
I wanted to come there as my last but one question. So maybe before we come to the office of the special, I beg your pardon, the Electoral Commission chairperson and her two deputies. A last one on the special prosecutor, which is that he earlier today on their social media handles, they've posted what they have achieved or been able to achieve in the last 12 or so months. They say achievement for 2025. I don't know whether you've chanced upon it, but it states amongst other things the number of persons they have arrested, the number of prosecutions they are currently undertaking, and individuals that are being prosecuted. Has this come to your attention, and what do you make of it? At least trying to prove that they are working, contrary to the public perception, which is growing, that they are a waste of office.
It's a diversionary tactic, complete diversionary tactic. So Kissi Ejabin is saying, like you said, there's a public perception that everything is wrong with that office. So he's thrown this out here at a time when the public has been informed officially that there are 3 petitions for his removal. So he wants us to discuss since it's done. Have you ever had any public officer who came into office and didn't do anything? It's not about the things he's done, but the damage he has caused such extreme damage to have allowed Oforiatta to go, the most valuable suspect, like the way we say in football, most valuable player. What can Oforiatta, the most valuable suspect, a man that even Kissi Ejabin's own officers, they have 5 cases against him. How could Oforiatta be traveling out and Kissi didn't know how to arrest him? You see, let's make this sense. When we say arrest somebody, we are not saying when you arrest him, you detain him. Arrest is a technical term, meaning that you temporarily, sometimes even for just 1 minute, just hold him and say you are under arrest for so and so offenses. Then, most importantly, you put him on bail. So he has to get people to sign a surety. Then that's where the sums of money will be stated. You see what Yoko has been doing, 200 million, 100 million, etc.
Yes.
So that none of Oforiatta traveled. If he didn't come back, then we would ask those who signed, the guarantors, to pay that money. But Kissi didn't do any of this because he has a relationship with Oforiatta. He has a relationship with Gabi Ochiridaku, the president's brother. So, look, in law, I keep telling people that in Chi, there's no word for cousin. So, even though in English you say Oforiatta and Otumfour and Gabi are cousins, in Chi you say brothers. So, they are close to Otumfour, and he took that as an excuse and allowed Oforiatta to travel, betraying us, betraying the Constitution. So this is the great harm that he's done, and that's why we're saying he should go. Okay. That's why we're saying he should go, among other things. Okay. So it's not about what he has done, but it's about the damage he has caused. Can you imagine? That constitutes, that's why I call it collusion. Because you see your suspect running out of Ghana, and you couldn't stop him. Now, he was lying that he went to NID. NID says he didn't come there. NID wrote to me. Your colleague and also lawyer, Dennis Puaburi, yes. He helped me write a letter. He wrote to NID. NID responded on 27th of November. That was last Thursday. But no, Kissie Jabe never came there for help to arrest Otumfour. The man was lying. And we're saying that when a man lies to the Ghanaian people like this, you know what else is done? You know what else is done? It's dangerous. That's the double agent syndrome we are talking about. He was working for them. So he cannot continue to occupy that office. So it's not about the things that he's done. The damage he has caused far outweighs the things he has done. The damage he has caused us by allowing Otumfour to flee from accountability is more than what he has done. He's not the only lawyer in the OSC. Even his deputy, Cynthia Lamptey, is far senior to him at the bar and far more experienced in the law than Kissie Jabe.
Right. And Counsel, sorry for cutting in, but have you seen those achievements?
Yes.
That posted?
He's been counting them. Some of them are even false. Look, in the annual report, they even said they saved Ghana $2.7 billion on the SML deal.
Yes.
And Manasseh exposed it. So please, let's not encourage the diversionary tactics he's talking about. Right now, what the people of Ghana are talking about is his accountability, his removal. This is not the time to trumpet his achievements. No, the achievements cannot cancel the harm he has done. Yes, I've seen those things.
My last question, Counsel, would be you, as a public or social commentator, you wear multiple hats, not just as a lawyer, but then you also observe what's happening in society and comment on it. One key one would be the petition to remove or asking for the removal of the EC chair and her two deputies. What are your initial thoughts on that? How does that come to you, especially following several weeks of rumors when the last election ended, where many said that, Jean and her deputies will be kicked out? Now there seem to be some concrete efforts being made where a petition has been, or several petitions, I should say, have been forwarded to the president and subsequently to the Chief Justice.
Yeah, so this is long overdue. I'm excited about the petitions. They are long overdue. One radio station did a story on some of the petitions that had been forwarded earlier, and they didn't understand why the president hadn't forwarded the petitions. So these petitions, we had always known for many months now. I think one of them is even by Imani, etc. Yes, and some other people. I remember a certain news story on JFM where the petitioners were complaining that they had submitted their petitions and hadn't heard from the presidency for some months. So it became a serious matter. So it's good that now the presidency acknowledges that there are 7 petitions for the removal of Jean Mensa and her deputies. Last year we were all very unhappy with the way they went about the preparations for the election. We almost plunged this country into chaos. Especially number one for me was that failure to audit the voters' register. The failure to audit it. We wanted a public audit of the voters' register, something that would have boosted confidence in the work of the Electoral Commission. Yet Jean Mensa and her deputies refused. So that's when I lost trust in them, because I was like, what is in the register that they were hiding? What would they hide in the register? So that alone was sufficient for me. If NDC hadn't been very vigilant, people were going to steal this election. And can you imagine the chaos? Because we're tired of Akufo-Addo's bad governance. So if they are stealing this election, can you imagine? So for me, I'm very excited that they too would have to go. I don't know what's in there, but because the things they did are so many, I believe that at least one charge will stick. When the persons have misbehaved so much, at least one charge will stick, and that will be enough to send them out of office.
Right. Okay. Counsel, pleasure talking to you as always. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
We've been speaking to private legal practitioner Martin Asiedu, who has been sharing a thought on the latest petitions that have been sent to the office of the president. 10 in total. 7 of them are asking for the Electoral Commission chair, Madam Jean Mensa, and her 2 deputies to be taken out of office or kicked out of office, and the remaining 3 are asking the president to also take out the special prosecutor Kissie Jabe. Now, all 10 petitions have been forwarded by the office of the president to the Chief Justice to investigate and at least establish whether or not there is concrete evidence or reasons for the removal of these persons of interest that the petitioners are asking for. And we also do know that it's going to take a number of days. The Chief Justice will now investigate, and if he is able to establish that there is a prima facie, which is there is strong enough evidence against these individuals, then it means that the president, according to the law, does not have any other option but to follow the recommendations of the investigation, which is to take action. So based on the outcome of the investigation to be undertaken by the Chief Justice, we would get to know whether they are safe to continue in the current offices they hold, or they are likely to be unemployed or at least made taken out of office by the president in the coming days. We only can wait and see and update you as and when new information does come in the coming days. And like you heard, Counsel Martin Pebu says that the latest by Wednesday, he would be presenting his own petition against the OSP Kisie Jabeng to the president for onward investigation and action be taken. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. We are live around the world on 3news.com, which is our website. We are also streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. So do let your messages come in. We are always happy to hear from you because you are part of this show. In other news this evening, the High Court in Accra has discharged Gregory Afoko, the former a farmer who was accused of murdering Adams Mahama, a former Upper East Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, the NPP, and one other person. Afoko had been accused of conspiring with Asapke Alangbi, who had already been convicted for the murder of Adams Mahama in 2015. In court today, the trial judge, the trial high court presided over by Justice Marie-Louise Simmons, discharged the accused person on grounds that the trial had been adjourned for more than 6 months without any activity. The court also dissolved the jury, which had only 5 members out of 7 in attendance. So that's just by way of update for you regarding this particular issue of Gregory Afoko, who had been arrested as far back as 2015, was in custody for all these years because investigations and prosecution were ongoing. And the latest regarding that is earlier this year, when this administration took over, the Attorney General filed a nolle prosequi and discontinued the case. However, today in court, the judge also gave clear indications in confirming her reasons to allow Gregory Afoko to walk free. She indicated that the case had been adjourned for more than 6 months, and very little to no activity has been ongoing. And on the back of that, she believes that Gregory Afoko should be allowed to go. So he's been discharged, and the accused person was discharged on the grounds that the trial had been adjourned several times, and this time around for 6 months without any activity. And so the court also dissolved the jury, which had only 5 members out of the 7 in attendance. So that's just by way of updates. Let's turn our attention to education now. The West African Examination Council, WAEC, is probing a sharp drop in this year's WASI results, with over half of candidates failing core mathematics and a third recording F9 in social studies. While groups disagree on what caused the decline, the Ghana Education Service insists that the outcome reflects students' true performance. Grace Hamwa Ajiman has more in this report. All right, so we'll try and bring you Grace's report in a moment because clearly we've also seen some of the comments many of you have been sending in, which has to do with the fact that you're expressing shock again, the former education minister has also been commenting on this. That's Dr. Educhum, who says that he thinks that because of a number of actions taken by the present administration, the education minister, they believe that is what must have caused the current failures that we are seeing when it comes to specifically mathematics. But let's listen to Grace's report.
220,008 candidates failed core mathematics, making it the weakest performance recorded in 7 years. Head of Communications at the West Africa Examinations Council, WAEC, John Kapi, says while the council is worried about the turnout, they suspect a lack of understanding of the questions resulted in the low performance.
And in a casual conversation with my people in charge of social studies, I gathered that there was a little twist, if you want, of the question. Instead of the rote learning that we are used to, he asked them to apply the knowledge that they had, the various subjects. So, I mean, in that particular subject, the various topics. So it's not as if they drifted off the syllabus, neither did they put aside the test blueprint. And then looking at the questions and asking them to apply the knowledge, that is probably where he thinks the problem is coming from.
A total of 461,736 candidates from 1,021 schools registered for the examination, representing a slight 0.24% increase over the 2024 figure. For education think tank Africa Education Watch, this year's results show that students did individual work, a position shared by the Ghana Education Service.
Kofi Asare, who previously was relying on APO or relying on ANZE's, collusion to pass, may now struggle, and his results will not be the same because he didn't prepare well. The policy regime. Look, we've been monitoring WASSCE since 2019. For the first time, the Ministry of Education, the minister pronounced that any teacher found participating in examination malpractice will be outrightly dismissed. That has never happened. Because even in the GHS Code of Conduct, if you are found participating in examination malpractice, you are, first of all, suspended. Dismissal is the last resort. And so for most first-time offenders, they are not dismissed outrightly. And so all this, and then the GES also asked headmasters to sign an undertaking. The undertaking ensured that headmasters are held responsible for whatever malpractice happens in their school. So if you put all these three exogenous factors together, you will realize that it's a full bouquet of issues that could have or may have contributed.
The Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, GNECC, argues that the abysmal performance calls for government immediate attention.
We have been advocating for targeted investment in both teacher training and educational infrastructure in the education sector. Some of our schools these days are interested in preparing the children only to go and write exams and not to prepare them to take up the challenges of life. If the child is prepared holistically and that child goes to the exam hall and then goes to meet a question, that is when the child is able to, or the student is able to apply what they have learned practically.
Former Dean of Education at the University of Ghana, Professor Jonathan Fletcher, says it is all-encompassing from teacher training to infrastructure and even the examination environment.
Teaching is not just about teaching people facts and them memorizing the facts. It's about actually teaching people, concepts and skills and things that will help them, in real-life situations. And therefore, I think teachers must start putting emphasis on application now. There is a new curriculum, secondary school curriculum, as you probably know, and that curriculum is putting a lot of emphasis on application and not just memorizing facts. There is a program called Intervention Mathematics, and that program, in my view, should be rolled out to all secondary schools because when you go to a secondary school, you probably see about 20% of the students who are not operating at a level that they should be. So therefore,
Stakeholders may disagree on the causes of the sharp decline, but the common demand is for urgent action to prevent an even bigger decline next year. Grace Hamwa Ajiman.
And yes, that report was put together by Grace Hamwa Ajiman. And clearly, many of you have been reacting, like I indicated, about the shock in the results, where out of the 400,000 or so that sat, over 200,000 failed when it came to mathematics, and many also had a very poor showing for social studies. But what generally is the underlying cause for this? We actually spoke to one of the stakeholders when it comes to teaching and learning in Ghana. He gave indications, and I'm talking about the Executive Secretary of IFEST, Dr. Peter Pateanti, and he says that as of now, these provisional results paint quite a gloomy picture. However, if we get a broken down set of results where we are talking about regional breakdown and then specific school breakdowns, then we can see which particular institutions had a challenge, what kind of challenge did they have, and why this has brought down the expected total turnout of results. And when we all wait to see when the Ghana Education Service or the Ministry of Education, for that matter, will release the full result, then we can do that particular type of analysis. Then we can get to the bottom of this. But in the meantime, the National Council of Parent-Teacher Association, Ghana, says it is deeply concerned but not surprised about the devastating WASSCE results, which revealed a catastrophic decline in key subject areas. These results are not just a wake-up call, they are distress signals to government and all stakeholders in education to reflect, review, revive, and come out with urgent, sustainable, and progressive national rescue learning plans to address the root cause of this decline. Ralph Gapson has joined us on the phone for a quick chat. Mr. Gapson, good evening and thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure speaking to you, Martin.
What are your general thoughts? You say this is quite not entirely surprising. However, you are concerned about this. Have you been able to hazard a guess what must have led to this decline in the results we all expected?
Thank you very much, Martin. You recall last year, the PRO for WAEC publicly made a very damning statement, which calls the integrity of our exams. It created the impression that the exams that we were writing last year was full of examination malpractice, to the extent that he said that openly that the exams that we are writing, people take projectors to classrooms, answer questions, project it for students to copy and pass. You remember? Martin, you remember?
Yes, I recall there was that press conference.
And that this year, we saw that people didn't get their way around it. And for that matter, that's why we are saying that we are deeply concerned but not surprised about the devastating WASSCE results, which reveals a catastrophic decline in key subject areas. Okay. We all know that as a country, for some time now, in our rooms, in our small corners, we've been complaining that the quality of the educational outcomes at the basic level and at the secondary level are not fit for purpose. We all know this. But we pretend that nothing is happening and all is well with us. And this is why we find ourselves in the situation we find ourselves today. So that is the essence why we say that urgent call to action, Ghana's education system on the brink of collapse.
Right. I think, a lot of people are still, just like you, are still quite concerned about the results. The former education minister, Dr. Duchum, says that it is as a result of some actions that have been taken by the current education minister that has led to this. Others are of the opinion that no, this is actually the true results and the capacity of our wards in school that we are seeing. Where does the Parent-Teacher Association stand on this?
Our stand is that as parents, we wish to emphasize that it's not the students who have failed, but the system that has failed them. or the standard is failing them. So we urge the government and all stakeholders in education in the interest of the state, devoid of partisan coloration and scoring political points, to implement the following reforms, noting that everything that happens for a reason. So we are calling on government to improve teacher quality and quantity through targeted retraining, especially in low-performing schools, based on assessment of WAEC results in BEC and WASI over the past 5 years. Every system after 5 years, it needs retooling, it needs reflection, it needs us to look at the issues and see whether we need to review, revive, and also come out with urgent, sustainable, and progressive national rescue learning plan to address the root cause of this decline. And for that matter, we are preferring some reasons that has caused these things, and we are saying that when we do these things, it will help us. 2, we are saying that we should mobilize parents and communities through the PTAs as partners in creating conducive environment for learning and accountable assessment outcomes in order for to adequately prepare our wards for examination, and not as a conduit for using PTA platforms to mobilize funds and engage in examination malpractice. This is an open secret that we all know. And when you try to talk about it, people think that you are creating a monster, you are embarrassing certain circles. And we think that the essence of PTA support for schools is to make sure that we prepare the children adequately for exams. But we should not use any means. Today, you have heads who tell you that, look, we are going to sign performance contracts, that the only way they see that we are performing as a school is to our students who pass the exams and pass well. So any form of papapa, any form of illegal ways and means we have to do for the students to pass. At the end of the day, it is the results that you show that will show the strength and then where your school is being projected. All these things are things that we think that we should not entertain going forward. Right. We should diagnose learning gaps early with nationwide baseline assessment and take remedial measures together with parents through the PTAs to restore instructional time lost due to disruptions. When we say disruptions, sometimes school will open and then the first week no so much major activity.
Yes.
Or during sports or culture or any major event. At the end of the day, it affects the time, the instructional time that and there's no any remedial measure immediately to make sure that the students can make up those times, and all these things also affect learning. So we are saying that when we are able to address that one, is to make sure that students take their learning and assessment seriously, as well as give their academic life their best shots, as stated by the great philosopher Henry Longfellow, who said that the heights that great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their compatriots slept, kept toiling upwards in the night. Students must know that until you struggle and you burn the midnight candle, you cannot make it. And there's no easy path to progress in life. That is the reality that we need to make our wars. We need to make students that we teach. We need to make students that we are building as a nation. We should put that culture in their mindset. We should also reduce overcrowded classrooms.
Mr. Gabson, we would have to leave it here for now because of time. And we are grateful that you made time to speak with us. Thank you so much.
We are most grateful for the opportunity.
And it's clearly a concerning results that we've, and it tells you how serious the PTA is taking this. So do let us wait and see what the final outcome of the meetings will be, and then in the coming days we'll update you on this. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. Up next is the latest in the world of business.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up tonight, fuel prices rise slightly at the pumps from today, December 1, 2025. Details of this headline story and others lined up for you, please stay. Thanks for accompanying now to the details. The price of petroleum products have increased marginally at the pumps from today, December 1, 2021. The projection was captured in the latest Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies COMAC Outlook report, which guides the pricing decisions of oil marketing companies. The price of petrol increased between 1.97% to 3.3%, bringing the pump price per litre to 12 cedis 91 pesos. Diesel also increased between 2.85% to 5.15%, potentially resulting in a liter at the pumps going for 13 cedis 37 pesos. That of liquefied petroleum gas increased by as much as 3.1% per kilogram, which may lead to a kilogram going for 13 cedis 80 pesos. According to the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, the increase has been influenced by marginal increase in the price of finished petroleum products on the international market and the recent pressure on Ghana over the past 2 weeks. Moving on, a study warns that aging cocoa trees, declining soil fertility, and the rapid spread of the cocoa swollen shoot virus are reducing yields and putting the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of farmers at risk. Researchers say the disease alone is cutting output by as much as 200 kilograms per hectare in some communities.
The study warns that aging cocoa trees, declining soil fertility, and the rapid spread of the cocoa swollen shoot virus disease are reducing yields and putting the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of farmers at risk. Researchers say the disease alone is cutting output by as much as 200 kilograms per hectare in some communities.
We also have conducted some activities in link to the certification. So I'm sure that you know about the fair trade certification, the organic certification. And we have found that in Ghana, they really contribute to improve the profits for the farmers as well.
Farmers participating in the dialogue called for higher farm gate prices, better access to inputs, and tougher action against illegal mining, which continues to destroy farmlands.
If you increase the cocoa price, then that's providing them an incentive to engage more into cocoa and to invest to provide some solutions to cocoa swollen shoot, for instance. So that's real incentive for the world cocoa economy.
The Cocoa for Future team is urging Cocoa Board and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to intensify rehabilitation programs, provide disease-resistant planting materials, and expand long-term monitoring systems to guide policy. With Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire supplying more than 60% of the world's cocoa, researchers warn that without coordinated action, the future sustainability of the sector is at risk.
You heard the report by my colleague Michael Obodu on Ghana's cocoa sector facing crisis amid aging trees, soil decline, and virus-threatened yields. Now, Deputy Minister for Energy Richard Jan Mensah has reaffirmed government's strong resolve to revive investment confidence across Ghana's energy sector and restore growth, especially in the petroleum upstream sector. Addressing the 9th Ghana Energy Awards in Accra on the theme repositioning the energy sector as a pillar of national development, he stressed that under the strategic leadership of President John Mahama, the ministry is implementing reforms to attract capital, expand renewable energy contributions, and ensure that reliable power supplies drive industries, households, and national development.
Over the past month, the ministry, with the tacit support of His Excellency the President John Dramani Mahama, has worked diligently to stabilize and reposition the energy sector as a true driver of national development. Through strategic reforms and deliberate policy direction, we have begun to reverse long-standing challenges and restore confidence across the energy value chain. The results are evident in the improvements recorded in the power generation, distribution efficiency, petroleum sector investment, and expansion of renewable energy initiative.
And that was Deputy Minister for Energy, Richard Jan Mensah, ending the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Oreku Ampofo is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo. Let's start from the camp of the Black Stars because the 2026 World Cup draw is a little over 72 hours away. The Black Stars, who are in Pot 4, will determine their fate when the official draw takes place on Friday, December 5 in Washington, D.C. in the United States. 48 teams will be split into 12 groups of 4 as the quest to dethrone Argentina as the new champions of the world begins. My colleague Bilishen provides a detailed breakdown of what to expect in Friday's draw.
Would span 39 days from June to July 2026. It would involve 48 teams divided into 12 groups, 4 teams each. Now, the top 2 in each of the 12 groups would qualify automatically to the round of 32, with 8 third best placed teams to join them in that particular round. Now, we'd have 6 extra knockout matches due to the fact that there's a round of 32 in there. And also the total matches in the 2026 World Cup have now increased to 104 from the previous 64. And also, so far, we have 4 debutants who have qualified to the tournament, including Cape Verde and Uzbekistan. But it could potentially increase after the playoffs takes place in March.
So that was my colleague Bill Eshen on what to expect with regards to the draw, which we'll be providing coverage of on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. Starts at 5 p.m. on Friday, December 5. Now, finally, before we go, the Black Queens head coach Kim Lasuyok says that Ghana will put up a spirited display against England's 3 Lionesses regardless of the outcome of the game. The fixture is expected to take place at 7 p.m. on Tuesday at Southampton's St. Mary Stadium.
In the game, you're going to see a hardworking team that will be hopefully proud over the performance. If it gives us a good result or not, we will see, but we're going to do everything we can. And if you do that and you are a little bit brave outside there, I think that everybody going to see this game that we did something really good. I actually spoke to the girl when we watched the China game, and they had one left winger. They came in the second half. I know her a little bit since my time in China, and I said to some of them, you're going to see a girl she's the shortest player I ever coached, but she's brave. She wants to dribble, she wants to create, she wants to change the game, and I actually think that she did. Okay, she was not afraid to keep the ball. She was not afraid to do her own things, and she actually helped the team. And I think that kind of things can actually help our players, that we can respect the opponent, but in the same times we need to be ourselves. We are the Black Queens, and we need to do our things. And if we do that, I think that people will see our performance and our game in a positive way.
And so that was head coach of the Black Queens, Kim Lasuyok, again speaking ahead of the friendly match against England on Tuesday, bringing an end to Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and you can join same time tomorrow for the latest updates in Ghana, on the continent, and across the globe as well.